Welcome to episode 46 of KinFit. I'm Michael.
I'm Tiffany, and today we are filming inside of Dawson College because it's raining outside
And
again.
you might actually recognize this gym if you watch previous episodes of KinFit.
That's it. So anyways, let's get on to Fit News. So what's going on in Fit News this week?
Well, the first thing I want to talk about was an article that I read at Next Generation Foods. It's an article covering the most unhealthiest foods that you can find at the 10 most popular chains, fast food chains in America. And the article is pretty interesting. What I really liked about the article was that they had a picture and a graph showing the most unhealthiest foods that you could find there. Not only did they cover the caloric content, they also compared the salt content, the fat content, and the cholesterol content of each of these foods.
Interesting.
Yeah, so definitely something to check out if you like to eat out a lot and you like a quick fix. I didn't realize that a mocha frappuccino at Starbucks had more calories than one donut at Dunkin' Donuts.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? Now, I love graphs and charts, so I highly encourage you guys to check it out and be shocked and amazed by what you find. Anyway, so on my end, for all of you who hate doing sit-ups, you finally have a valid excuse. So a recent article has just come out highlighting the traditional sit-up that puts quite a bit of stress on the lower spine because of the compression of all the vertebrae. So this is probably something that we don't want to do, and especially if you are doing this exercise often, you don't want to actually hurt your back when you thought you were trying to help it. In fact, if you do want to increase your core strength, you probably want to do it slowly, and if you do like the traditional sit-up, what we would suggest is more modifying it so that there's less stress on the spine itself. So a certified exercise professional could probably help you change it up a little bit so you're not hurting your back so much.
That's right. If you're usually a beginner, what I usually do, I would give you a core stabilization exercise just to make sure that you get your base strength first, and then move you on to sit-ups if you're able to do them. Of course, you can always check back our previous Fit Tip where we showed you how to do a proper sit-up, but again, make sure that you can do it and so that you don't get yourself injured.
That's right.
Yeah. And the last little bit of news I wanted to talk about was, it's pretty interesting. I decided to save this for the last because it's pretty cool. It's not new news because it's been out for the last 2 years, but it's still kind of new because it's not out yet. In the past, we talked about different peripherals that you can use to monitor your exercise levels or to monitor your progress or to use that motivation tool. 2 years ago, a cell phone company in Japan designed a cell phone that you can use as a pedometer. It can measure your heart rate, your pulse. It can also act as a breathalyzer. You can breathe into the phone and it will tell you whether you have good or bad breath. But the most interesting part of it was that you can actually use it as a bowel impedance scale. So you can actually measure your body fat content with your phone.
Wow. That's a pretty multifunctional phone.
I know, it's pretty cool. It's your next generation smartphone. There you go.
Wow, so that's pretty interesting. It's not out yet though.
It's not out yet. Well, they talked about it 2 years ago. Still no new news about it, but when it does, if and when it does come out, I am definitely flying to Japan, buying this phone, cracking it, and using it here.
All right, so I guess it's not just used as a calculator anymore.
Oh no, bye-bye iPhone.
All right, so that'll be it for this week's Fit News.
For this week's Fit Tip, I'm going to cover the 4 most common myths about exercises. Myth number 1, exercising at lower intensity burns more fat to lose weight. Now this may be true for during exercise, but it's not for afterwards. Exercising at lower intensity does burn a larger percentage of fats than carbs, but in reality, it's the total amount of calories that are burned that's most important than the actual fuel used. The higher the intensity, the more calories you burn during exercise. This also increases your metabolic rate, which burns more calories at the end of your exercise session afterwards. Myth number 2, you can eat anything as long as you exercise. Now, as much as we like to believe this is actually false as well. Some of the fats found from our favorite junk foods are deposited around our bodily organs as visceral fat. This type of fat accumulation is particularly dangerous to our health, so it's okay to treat ourselves from time to time, but not all the time. Myth number 3, women who lift weights become muscular and masculine. Now, many women believe or seem to think that lifting weights will turn them into bodybuilders, but in reality, you have to train very hard and eat loads of calories to put on that muscular bulk. Strength training, in fact, is very important to women as it helps build up muscles and also bone mass, which in turn reduces the risk of osteoporosis. Plus, the more muscles you have in your body will also help increase your metabolic rate, which in turn will also help in the fat loss process. And finally, myth number 4, spot reducing. Now, spot reducing is the belief that you can reduce the fat of any given area you want from your body by concentrating exercises on that area. Example, having a flat or toned stomach by doing a lot of ab exercises. Now, having a toned stomach has more to do with the calories burned and your diet than with how many crunches you can actually do. The fact is that when your body burns off fat, it actually takes little bits from every part of your body. Now, this wraps up the 4 myths that I wanted to cover for today. Hopefully, it clears a little bit of some of the myths that you may have had for exercises. So this wraps up this week's Fit Tip, and we will see you next time.
So on this week's Information, I will be talking to you about a nutrient rather than a specific food today. And if you're an athlete, you might want to take a little bit more attention to what I will be talking about. So what I'm talking about is omega-3. Now, big deal, right? You've heard all about omega-3. It's good for you. You should eat this. You should eat that. Now, why should you be paying a little bit more attention? Now, we know that omega-3 is good for cardiovascular health, among other things, but specifically its anti-inflammatory properties. Now, if you're an athlete or you do exercise quite often, to a certain degree, you will have some sort of inflammation process post-activity. This is normal, and especially if you are injured, you're going to have quite a bit of inflammation going on wherever your injury is. Now, if you are having omega-3 rich foods, that's going to help you recover faster. And that's going to be pretty important if you are active regularly or you play on a team. You want to be back as quick as possible. You don't always want to be relying on medications either because of all the different side effects. So omega-3s are going to give you the extra health benefits as well as help you recover faster. So it's so important to make sure that it's part of your regular diet. Now, where are you going to find it? For sure, you're going to find it in flaxseed oil, but I want to let you know, if you get multigrain bread and has whole flax seeds in it, it's probably not going to do you much good. It has to be ground up in order for you to actually get anything out of it. So all those multigrain breads, unless it's crushed inside in a powder form, you probably won't get too much. However, if you do buy, say, omega-3 eggs or omega-3 milk, that you are definitely going to be getting some of the benefits out of. So that would be a good way to go. However, there are other types of foods such as walnuts too that can give you a little bit of the omega-3. However, you know what the best source is the fatty fish. I know this is probably kind of old, but you definitely need to know that is probably the best source for the omega-3. So stuff like salmon, herring, mackerel, anchovies, and sardines, your best bet for a lot of omega-3s. Now, I'm not saying you need to eat them every day, but 2 to 3 times a week would be best. Or if you're really adverse to fish foods, then I would probably suggest you get the fish oil supplement in the pill form. So that's the only thing I'd probably say, yeah, go for the supplement if you're really not going to be eating the actual food. So I hope that helps you out, and I hope that will help you recover a little bit faster for next time. So that'll be it for this week's Information.
So this wraps up this week's episode of KinFit.
Please check back our show notes for all the important pieces of information we want you to find out about.
And if you have any ideas, suggestions, or questions you want to send us, just email them to us at info@kinfit.tv.
And unfortunately, we have no cameraman today, so we can't thank anybody.
Nope, so just remember, don't quit.
Stay fit. So on this week's Information, I'm going to be talking to you about a micronutrient. Actually, take that off. I don't know why I said micronutrient. It's too much fancy words. I find this is super important, and actually you may want to pay attention if you are an athlete. So normally, why would I say normally?